So like I said in the beginning, I am Mariana Rodriguez. I am the social media and content manager for Sister District. I actually started in August, which is super exciting, and I run the social squad. So for those of you who don't know what the social squad is I prepare messaging and I give images to our volunteer leaders who run social media. So I know Liz has put it in the chat. Feel free to join us. I am from Texas, so if you hear me saying y'all a bunch, that is why. I hope it runs off on you too. Like I said, we will have time at the end to answer questions, so feel free to start leaving them in the chat. If I can't get to your question for some reason, please feel free to email me at ariana@sisterdistrict.com. I'm happy to set up a Zoom with you and talk through your social media, talk about events you have coming up. I am here for you. Please use me as a resource. And while it is definitely hard to follow up with after Anat's amazing presentation, I'm going to give you tips and tricks that will help you boost your social media game. So let's get started. So this is what is on my agenda for this session. Definitely not all inclusive of all the social media things, but this is just something to get you started. So I'm going to talk about a 30-minute engagement hack on Instagram so you can boost your followers, get more donors, and hopefully get more volunteers. We're going to talk about how to talk about emotional and sensitive topics, because even now that Trump is gone, stuff is going to happen and we are going to be responsible for responding like Anat wants us to in a good way, and that is not sharing disinformation. What is alt text, why you should be using it, and how to use it. And finally, we don't want no blurry pictures on Instagram. So the sizes that you should be using and the best way to get those sizes. So what is this 30-minute engagement hack that I'm talking about on Instagram? So a lot of social media people actually do this every day. I do not expect any of you to do this every day. You have a lot going on. You are volunteers for us, but maybe you should do this when we drop new candidates and you're going to have a bunch of events coming up, or you really want to raise money for XY event. I would encourage you to start doing the 30-minute engagement hack on your Instagram. So what does that look like? So you're going to set a timer for 30 minutes. And in that first 30 minutes, I want you to engage in your feed. What does that mean? So you're going to start scrolling through your feed and you're going to start liking and leaving meaningful comments on posts that you like. So think about going to Fair Fight Action or the New Georgia Project and going to put awesome organizing tactic, love what y'all are doing. Something like that. But why am I asking you to do that? Because people who follow the New Georgia Project or the Fair Fight Action, they also are trying to get Democrats elected. They believe in our work. So they might see your comment and say, who's Sister District Wisconsin? And go look at your profile and might give you a follow. So I wouldn't just encourage you to do this on big profiles. I also encourage you to do this on small profiles who are in your size. So think Indivisible Bend or Texas High School Democrats. They have about as many followers as you do, about 100 followers. Go leave a comment on their post that you love what they're doing. Go like their post that you love what they're doing. So not only, so a small page like Texas High School Democrats, they don't get a lot of comments on their page. So they're going to comment back probably to you, and they're going to go look on Sister District Wisconsin and say, what do they do? And they might give you a follow or be interested in working together. So the more you do that with these pages, you're building a relationship that could once again turn into volunteers, could turn into donors, could turn into building our network at Sister District. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I see stuff is coming up, but I'm just going to go roll with it. But keep putting your questions in there, definitely. So now that you've engaged in your feed, oh, and another point with that too, are you following pages in your area? So Wisconsin keeps coming to my head. So this is who I'm going to talk about. Sister District Wisconsin, are you following the local Democratic pages in your area, in your state? If not, go ahead and give them a follow. Once again, they are people who support our mission, and you could potentially get new volunteers and more donors. Think League of Women Voters. Think of other organizations in your area who are doing similar work that you want to interact with, possibly host an event with, or possibly get more volunteers and donors from. So we've gone through our feed, we've left all these amazing comments and all these amazing organizations. So now we're gonna go in our stories. So you go on Instagram, you're gonna start scrolling through here, and we're either going to react with emojis or leave a comment to what's on their stories. And I know sometimes we follow like our grandmas or our cousins. I wouldn't recommend leaving a comment on any of those things because those people are not how we build relationships. So once again, I'm talking about New Georgia Project. I'm talking about high school Democrats interacting with their pages, because now that you've interacted on their story, it's going to be in their messages. They might reply to you. And once again, they're going to come snoop on Sister District New York and see what you're about and might give us a follow back. So you've interacted in stories. Now let's go for our last 10 minutes. We are going to interact in hashtags. So think of hashtags you use often. Blue wave, President Biden, Kamala for the people, it starts with states. Think of any of those hashtags that you use often and go interact with them. So you'll type that in your search bar on your feature page, and you're gonna go to recent post. In those recent posts, start engaging with those meaningful comments, those likes, because once again, those are people who already support our mission, but they're not following us yet. So that is an untapped market that we need to bring them to follow us, to get engaged with us, to start liking who we are, and to get more followers. So now that we have talked about our 30-minute engagement hack, once again, I don't expect you to do this even every day, even me. It is hard to do this every day on our really busy days. So when you have time, when you really want to boost an event, I would also recommend doing this after you post. So you're going to post something and then go leave a comment or go interact in stories. Because if those people come snooping on your page, they're going to say, oh, wait, they just posted they have an event coming up. Maybe I should attend that event. So we've talked about our engagement hack. Let's talk about how we make our content accessible to everyone. So what is alt text? So alt text is a written copy that helps describe an image. So screen readers who, and I also want to say, I have a lot of stuff on here. Please do not feel like you have to be burning your arm and write a bunch of notes. I can send you my notes. I can go over stuff with you in email. So if you want to take notes to help yourself, but please feel free, do not rush to take notes. I will happily send all this information over, and this recording will be up on the website. So like I was saying, alt text. So people who are visually impaired to use social media, they use screen reading tools. So for example, let me say when I did the post about Lala and Rita's transition, and I had that whole caption about how excited we are, all the amazing things that are coming up on Sister District. And I didn't alt text the image. And that image, for example, said, we're having this huge going away party. We're so excited. It's on this date, this time, raising money for these candidates. I didn't alt text it. That means the person who was using that screen reader has no idea about that event and can't come and engage at that event because I didn't alt text that image and it wasn't in the caption. So I never want you to see alt text as a burden. Accessibility is who we are. Ensuring that everyone can read our content, see our content, and interact with us is who we are, and that is the baseline. You will have to do an extra step for alt text, but I never want you to see it as a burden. I want you to see it as another way that we can ensure everyone who wants to interact with Sister District can. So how do we do it? So this is how you do alt text. So this is just an example. Once again, happy to send you all of my notes. Do not worry. So this is a picture of Christina Morris. So this is when you're posting on Instagram, you're going to go to advanced settings, you'll go to write alt text, and here's where you'll write it. Don't overcomplicate alt text. I would describe this image as Sister District alumna in a black, Christina Morris in a black dress and a black mask, holding a white paper that certifies her election results. It can be that simple. So don't overcomplicate it. With the great thing about Instagram as well is if you post an image and then an hour later, I forgot my alt text, you can go back and edit and add that alt text. But annoying thing with Instagram is if you use a scheduling app like I do, I use Hootsuite, you cannot schedule alt text. So a few ways to get around that is to, after you posted it, is to go in there and add the alt text like this. Or shout out to Sister District New York, who already does an amazing job at using alt text. They just put it in their caption. So you're going to write your beautiful caption about Lala and Rita's transition, how happy, excited you are. And then right under that, where you would put your hashtags, you're going to put image description, and you're going to put that exact language that you would put in the alt text right there. That is acceptable too, and still a great way for everyone to engage and see our content. Let's move on to Twitter. So Twitter has, you'll go to here to add description, and you will write out what you see. Sometimes Instagram doesn't have it, but Facebook and Twitter have text limits. You can only write so many words on your alt text. So I would definitely say you need to focus on what the image actually says and not what it looks like. Don't spend 30 words describing the background if you're running out of words. Be sure that you want to make sure the person can see what you're describing, the event, the link, anything like that. Words definitely matter more. And unlike Instagram, you cannot add alt text after you send a tweet. So be sure that you do it before you press send tweet. And on Twitter, you can actually see when you're scrolling along, it'll say like alt text available on these different posts. So you can see who is being accessible and who is not. Facebook auto generates alt text. So if you want to do it on Facebook, you'll come here, you'll do here, and look there, right there, they have auto-generated some of that text. Sometimes, most of the times, Facebook does a really good job, so I'll just come and edit what they say, but every once in a while, I don't like what they say and I can change that. Twitter and Facebook allows you to schedule alt text in Hootsuite, so unlike Instagram, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so talked about an Instagram hack, we've talked about alt text. Now we're going to get into something a little heavier and touching on those things that Anat was saying. How do we talk about emotional and sensitive topics? So I'm going to be using the example of the attacks of the Capitol on January 6th. So just to preface that is my dog who is moving around, so excuse him if he starts to bark or anything like that. So the 4 things that I'm going to go over in this next part is anytime you're talking about an emotional topic or a post in general, what is your goal with that message? And is it aligning with our sister district goal? Second, we are never going to unintentionally or intentionally spread disinformation. We simply do not spread disinformation at sister district. We are always going to center the victims, center our needs, center our victims, and center our demands, similar to what Anat was saying. And we are going to always denounce violence and hatred, but once again, we do not think it matters to share pictures of the white supremacists or disinformation in general. So I want you to think about this every time you post. Our goal at Sister District is to elect Democrats, to build a progressive country, and to improve people's lives. So it's January 6th, you're seeing all the awful things that are going on at the Capitol, and you see an account on Twitter post a picture of a white supremacist, and you're like, I'm gonna repost that to the Sister District page. Pause and ask yourself, does this post make Sister District seem like a trustworthy site that I should donate my time or energy or money to? Maybe someone could say like, well, they're reporting on what's going on, like that's helpful. But we're not journalists. We are not here to tell people what's going on. Once again, we are here to elect Democrats, build a progressive country, and to strengthen our movement. Does posting a picture of a white supremacist help elect Democrats or improve people's lives? No, there's no need to post that picture. What we can do instead is there is a bunch of Republican state legislators at the Capitol. So we can talk about that. We can share articles about, in 2022, we'll be in X state where there was several Republican state legislators who were at the Capitol riots. We have the volunteer structure, the power to stop them and to help elect actual Democrats who want to work for our country and protect our capital and the people in it. That is one way to talk about what is going on, a crisis, but once again, not centering the white supremacists and refusing to share their picture. Disinformation is everywhere. Liz is on this call and she is going to give a whole presentation on it, so stay tuned for that, but I also want to touch on it here. So disinformation spreads quickly on days where stuff like the January 6th attacks happen. So because bad actors are looking for an opportunity to mess up, to scare people, to create fear. So on the day of the Capitol attacks, unverified accounts with very few followers were posting pictures like this, which actually happened in 2018 for the March of Our Lives. But because people weren't verifying things, these images went viral. So not only, this is harmful for a number of reasons. This is creating panic in people who are in DC. Is there really that many people? Can I go out? Do I need to stay in my house? That's creating panic for us in social media. We don't understand what's really going on. What is the truth? So we don't want to share disinformation. So instead of just retweeting that image, you can reverse image search that. So if you're saying like, this unverified account posted this picture of these white supremacists attacking our country, let me just reverse image search that and make sure this is the picture from the day, or make sure it's not from another day. I would also recommend that looking at MSNBC, AP Politics, CNN, what are they showing? What are their camera people picking up, recording videos of, taking pictures of? If you're seeing very different images from them and an unverified Twitter account, something is definitely off and you do not want to encourage that behavior and share it unintentionally. Don't like it, don't retweet it, don't comment on it, even if you find out that this is a bad actor, because every time you even like or comment or interact with disinformation, it gets popped up to the top of the algorithm, so more people are going to see it. Like Anat was saying, to drown out bad messages, we have to completely ignore them and bring our own to the table. And that is coming to my next point. We always have to center our victims, our needs, and our demands. So this is one of the first posts I made when everything was going on at the Capitol. There's nothing about Trump. There is nothing about Republicans. There is nothing about the white supremacists. Because when our country is under attack or when something terrible has happened, we have to remember at Sister District, our values are kindness and empathy. And we are going to center the people who are actually hurting. And by doing so, we're not going to glorify the attackers' actions, and we're going to remind people of our values and who we are. And like Anat said, we have to do this with everything, whether it's attacks on the Capitol or voting rights. We have to stop amplifying what the Republicans, what Trump has said, and amplifying our story. So think about how that one congressperson, the elected official, he was cleaning up the trash and there were so many pictures of him, right? That is centering an amazing story. That is storytelling. And we have to continue to do that in a way that is centering our needs, centering our victims, and centering our demands. This is another tweet I sent out that day. Once we had so many positive responses for this. So while other organizations were fast to tweet out pictures of the white supremacists, to tweet out pictures of the attack, everyone was tweeting out that things. We refused to do that. We refused to share disinformation or to share those pictures, and we got a lot of positive feedback for that. Because we are, once again, centering our voices, centering our needs. Compare posting a picture of a white supremacist to, in 2022, we'll be back in X state, and we are going to make sure that we elect people who will fight for COVID relief, who believe in scientists, and who are not going to attack our nation. That is a much stronger message than simply retweeting an image of what is going on at DC. Oh, okay. So that was a lot, I know, because I'm saying all of it. So those four things that I always want you to remember. So when you're doing any kind of post, always, what is my goal with this post? Am I helping get Democrats elected? Am I improving people's lives? Am I going to bring more people to Sister District? If I'm not doing any of those things, I need to change the post. I need to change the language that I'm using, and I need to add in maybe a call to action. So getting people to volunteer with us, getting people to donate to us. I know I did a lot in November, like after RBG passed away, like feeling helpless. So come stop feeling a little helpless. Let's do some action. Let's call voters. That's going to help me feel better. So think about things like that when any kind of post, whether there's violence going on or something. What is my message? And is this going to help strengthen our movement and bring more people to us? Remember, we are always going to center our victims, our story, our needs, and our demands. We're going to stop playing into the Republicans' games, and we're going to put forward, what do we bring to the table? We have amazing candidates who support science, who are nurses, who are mothers, who are teachers. Let me amplify their story and tell their story. We are going to never share disinformation because we are always going to be on the lookout for it. And we are going to make sure that we have reverse image search, or we have looked into where our information is coming from. We're not going to trust unverified accounts just because. We are not going to share any pictures of violence or hatred or white supremacists, but we are going to definitely denounce that violence and hatred that they call, and once again, center our people and what we bring to the table. If you're like me, you have posted an image on Instagram where you cut off someone's head, where it was super blurry and you couldn't see, and we want to stop doing that. So screenshot this, and I'm also, like once I said again, I'm happy to share all of these things with you. Make sure you are uploading the right sizes to each platform. I don't know if you've ever gotten on Twitter and you've seen someone posted a picture and you can only see like someone's chest or only see someone's arm. That is because they use the incorrect formatting. So make sure you are using the correct formatting on Twitter. A great free tool that you can use is Canva. I used to use Canva a lot, and even with their free subscription, not the paid one, you can go and say, I'm going to make this a Facebook cover photo, or I'm going to make a Twitter cover photo. So they already have those sizes in there. You just need to put your designs in there. If you pay for Canva, you can say you start creating an image in Instagram, you can instantly change it to a Twitter size or a Facebook size. But the free one also gives you a bunch of options. Okay. So these are just general tips and guidance because once again, I said that I love talking about social media. I could talk about it all the time. So if you are a new team or you're a small team and you're just starting out, you do not have to be on every platform. That's my job. It's exhausting and it's a lot of work. So I would encourage you to start with one platform. Start on Twitter and say, I'm going to be really good at Twitter. I'm going to build my followers. I'm going to have all my events on here, or so and so. So start with that one platform, bring in that awareness, create that following. Maybe your team grows, or maybe you get more comfortable and you can expand to another platform. But what we don't want to see is that you create 3 platforms and then you are only posting on one of them once a month, or you post on this one every 2 months. Because what really gains followers on social media is that consistency, staying with it and having your audience know, oh, every Friday, Sister District Wisconsin posts throwback pictures, or every Saturday they do a quiz on their Instagram stories. That consistency will get people to come back. So be sure that if you have a small team, you are working on one platform first before branching out. The second one seems simple, it seems like common knowledge, but we always stress it. If you're sharing pictures of people, please have their consent, especially children, please have their parents' consent. We don't want to mess with anyone getting mad at us, or you have to take down a post. We don't want to deal with that at all. So anything you see in the asset library, we have those consent to share them. Anything I share with you, you also have the consent to share them. But if you're doing volunteer pictures or anything like that, be sure that you have permission to share those pictures. What performs well on social media? Well, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on what platform you're on. It depends who your followers are. For HQ, people's faces and memes perform the absolute best. I'm sure everyone saw our Harry Potter memes that were coming out after the November election. Those were extremely popular. So I encourage you to get creative and have fun in your social media. Yes, so we are a political organization who shares facts and shares tips and tricks, but we are also on social media to have fun. So if you see a popular meme that's going around and you think you can tie it into saving our democracy or electing Democrats, please feel free to post that. But also mixing up your content. If you aren't sure what performs well, try a bunch of different things out and see what happens, because performing well on social media can be really hard, honestly. There's so many factors that go into it. What time did you post? Was there an update that just came out that messed up the algorithm? Did other people share it to their stories immediately, so you got a big boost? So think about those things and mix up your content. Whether that's infographics, people's faces, memes, events, that is what is going to perform well. And you're also going to see that you'll see what is performing well and what people want more of and what less of. My last tip is reminding you that social media is a two-way street. We can't just go on there. I know this is what we want. I want this too. We can't just go on there, post our flyer, and then stop engaging and get off the app and hope a bunch of people are going to come to our event. That's not how social media works. And that's why things like the Instagram engagement hack are so important. So we have to show up for other people. We have to engage with other platforms and other people to get a movement going. Gabby has actually been doing really well on Twitter. Some like a news page will post like looking for Democratic orgs that are doing this. Gabby will jump in there and say like, Sister District builds power at the legislative level, and we'll get a bunch of new followers from that. So think about ways can you do that on a Facebook post, on Twitter, on Instagram? Are there pages who are asking for what we do? Go engage with them and you might get more followers because of it. How are we telling our story is so important. So storytelling is what gets people motivated. I know all of you have amazing stories. So talking about how you sell soup to raise all of your money for your candidates, like that's funny, that's inspiring, and people are going to love that. So think about telling your story as Sister District Wisconsin, as Sister District New York, because each of you has different stories and bring a unique part of Sister District together. But not only that, I want you to also think about, am I only following white organizations? Am I only liking posts from white creators, from white candidates? And think about that. Am I only commenting on white creators and stuff like that? Are we only showing up for Black lives during Black History Month? Are we only showing up for women during Women History Month, but never talking about Black lives or brown people other than when it's convenient to us? So who we are, that also tells our story. How we're showing up for people also tells our story. So I want you to also be mindful when you're engaging on social media that you're being inclusive, that you're being diverse, that you're following diverse voices, because that's also going to teach you so much. I follow a bunch of disabled activists on Twitter, and it has genuinely taught me so much about how to be a better activist, how to center people's voices, how to pass the mic. So I encourage you to do that in your social media too. Because once again, people are going to see like, oh, Sister District HQ only responds to those organizations, but they don't respond to these organizations. That's kind of weird. So think about that. How we show up on social media is a part of our story and is a part of who we are. In summary, that was a lot, but alt text makes our content accessible, and it is not a burden. It is simply who we are. Showing up and ensuring that everyone can reach our content is important. We have your 30-minute engagement hack. So try to, if you have a big event coming up, try to engage in that 30-minute engagement hack. 10 minutes in stories, 10 minutes on your feed, and 10 minutes in hashtags. You might see a boost in followers and donations. When we're talking about emotionally insensitive topics, we're going to center our victims. We're not going to share disinformation. We're going to denounce hatred and violence, but once again, not share disinformation. And we're always going to ask, what is our goal? Is this helping strengthen our movement? We are going to stop posting blurry images on social media because no one wants to interact with that. And we are going to use the proper sizes when we're posting pictures. And finally, we're going to show up authentically. We're not just going to say we stand for Black lives. We're going to follow, engage, and amplify Black lives in our social media. So that is all I have for you. As I said, I am available for questions. I see we have a bunch of stuff in the chat, so I'm going to get to those questions right now. But please, if you have any questions for me that I do not get to, please feel free to send me an email. Happy to get with you over Zoom or to talk about it more offline. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go into those questions and see what we have. Okay, let's see.
Looks like they really start around 229. Ariana, if you want to take a look.
Okay. Yes, Canva is that thing I was talking about. Canva is great. Let me start moving on up.
I can also just give you some if you want. There's one from Lisa Diaz-Nash. What are your thoughts on Instagram versus Facebook?
It depends on your goal, who you're reaching, and your audience. So if you think you have an older audience, like your volunteers are older, I would recommend Facebook is better for that. If you also like to share articles, Facebook is better for that. If you do not want to have to be creating images, then Instagram is going to be really hard for you. While I give you free images on the social squad, sometimes that's not like a daily thing. So it really depends on what you have available to you and the resources that you have. If you love sharing articles and talking about what's going on in certain states, stay on Facebook. If you have someone who can make graphics for you, or you can find pictures of your volunteers easily, go best on Instagram.
We also have one from Phyllis, which is curious about any models for how social media teams are set up.
I know different people have different things. So I know for sure that some people do one person for each social media site. So they have someone specifically who does Facebook, specifically who does Twitter, specifically for Instagram. I think that is a great setup for volunteers because you don't have a lot of time and I don't want you to be working super hard. So I think that's a great model for social media. But even if you were only going to go on Instagram, maybe you could have someone they do Instagram stories. I do the Instagram post. And I also am going to try to do Instagram lives or video content. So once again, it comes down to what network you decide on. I wouldn't break down Twitter and Facebook like that simply because they don't have that many moving parts. You definitely can have two people on Twitter and Facebook, but there's less moving parts on those compared to Instagram, where there's videos, stories, and posts.
We had a question from someone who was curious how to share on Instagram, share a post on Instagram.
Be complicated to show you here. I'm happy to go over Zoom with you and show you that. Resharing. So do you want to like reshare like someone like Sister District's post? Are you saying that? So yeah. There are apps. There are apps. Let's see, which one do I use? I use an app called Repost, and that allows you to go onto someone else's Instagram and then reshare their exact post, so you wouldn't have to type it. So if you wanted to share HQ's post, you would just go to the Repost app and you could do it there. There are other ones too. That's just the one I use.
Awesome. And we also have a question about best practices to get followers to help promote the post besides just liking them.
Ooh. Yeah, that is that's hard. So I would recommend, so say you are sister district New York and you want more eyes on your scene. So send out a text message or send out a email to your rest of your team and say, hey, we just posted about this event. Could you share to your personal Instagram, or could you comment and like on it? Because that's going to boost it in the algorithm. So the more comments or likes it's going to get, more people are going to more likely see it. If they also share it with their personal people, once again, their friends are probably Democrats, they're going to be more likely to interact with it. So it is hard to get people to interact with your stuff, honestly, but that's one way to do it.
And Ariana, I don't know if you have time to just do one more. We've got one that's been posted a couple of times, which is, do most chapters use all of these social media avenues and websites? And if you could only do two, which ones might be the most impactful for chapters?
I just saw Paula's question. There is no social media groups on TikTok. I do not want to be dancing on TikTok. I do want to get on Instagram Reels sometime soon. But I know Kat has some security issues with TikTok, and that is why none of us are on there currently. If I only had to choose two social media platforms to get on, once again, I'm going to say it's down to your audience. Like for my personal life, I really like Instagram. Like I really like being able to see what my friends are up to that way. We've been really popular on Twitter lately. With our people have been tagging us in different things, and we've been really popular on Twitter. So once again, it depends on what your audience is saying. Facebook is really great for those articles. Twitter is a great way to engage with our candidates and reporters and stuff like that. Instagram is growing so rapidly. They have a lot of features, but that means it's also really hard to get a bunch of followers on Instagram. So those are kind of things that you have to think about. If you want to engage with younger people, Instagram and Instagram Reels. That is the best way to, and like that's why TikTok is so great, because people love those quick videos, especially young people. They love being able to just access that information and run. Young people are not on Facebook, and they're definitely on Instagram. I think we've talked about it at HQ, and I hope we can keep doing it. We really need to put more energy into our organizing fellows, because they have a bunch of energy. They have a bunch of people in their contacts, but they're just not sharing us on social media yet. So we're definitely wanting to work on that. So young people are on TikTok, they're on Instagram Reels, and yeah, they're on Instagram. Let's see, I have no idea where we are on time. Are we?
We're actually 2 minutes over on time, but we have a break right now until 3:10. So if you wanted to field like one more question, we probably could.
Mallory, do you have a question?
Looks like one here about like using social media versus a website. Like if you could use social media or you could use a website, which might you focus on?
I just keep saying this because it depends on your goal. So website, you can get a bunch of information on, and you can get direct leads to sign up. On social media, is your goal to get more volunteers, and how are you bringing in those volunteers? So our website is a great platform to send people to like sign up to volunteer, but they might have your first interaction with you on social media. So once again, it depends on your goal. It depends, are the people in your network even on social media? Then don't waste your energy if not. Scheduling apps, I use Hootsuite simply because it was really easy, and I first found it in college and it was free. And I still love Hootsuite a lot. So if you have a Twitter, you have a scheduling app with TweetDeck. So you can automatically schedule, if you just type in TweetDeck and you're signed into your Twitter, you'll go to TweetDeck and you can schedule tweets. I love Hootsuite, but there's also ones called Later, which I don't use, but Later is great because you can, if they click the link in your bio and you have Later, you can grab that and it'll send you directly to a link. So say you post like, join us for this event. You can click that event and from your bio and it'll send you to that like link. Later is, I've heard great things about it, but I use Hootsuite just because it's free and that is what I've been using for a while. So Liz just put about, so our next session is going to be with Sister District alumni. So it was going to begin at 10 past the hour. You're going to find that link in the suite in our Sister District Summit website. You had so many great questions. Thank you so much. You had a lot of ways to spend this 40 minutes. So thank you for spending it with me. Please feel free to send me emails. Please, I am here for you. I'm a resource. Please look up my emails and we can talk about it. And I hope I was helpful for you. Thank you so much. On social media, across the board, we are Sister District. So if you're looking to follow us, we are Sister District on everything. I'm going to stay here just in case anyone has any last things, but feel free to enjoy your break, get some water, and then go back to the main room so we can start on our next thing. Thank you so much for coming and listening to me ramble for 40 minutes. I really appreciate it. Older audience, super limited. If your audience is currently limited, yeah, keep working and building on Facebook. I know you want to strengthen your ties with younger audiences, but it's hard. That's what we kind of having problems with on our HQ1 too. We have a lot of people in their 30s and up, but really do not have many people 18 below. So keep going on Facebook, and I know I need to see if there's any way that we can just start building and branching out to younger people, because that's going to help you to reach more younger people as well.